Okay then, so we should be live by now on YouTube. This is the very first ever Patreon live stream that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be reading your questions here. I'm in the chat as well. And basically, any questions you've got, let's talk some Disney. Hopefully the music isn't too distracting, but this is very strange for me to do a very first live stream. So let's see how it goes. I've got a couple of questions which I know that you guys would like me to answer as well on Patreon. So let me just get those as well. 2 seconds. A second. Let me just go onto the page and then I'll be able to find those for you. Hopefully the audio is absolutely fine. If it's not, please say so in the chat. I'm using the normal microphone, which is on this table here. So hopefully it will work out well. Getting a lot of hellos. Hello to everybody. I don't know if you'd like me to do the hi there, Walterners. I'm Jack. This is a Q&A. And let's get right to the questions then. The audio is good. Brilliant. That's great. Cheers, John. That's brilliant. That's great. Right, let me answer one or two of the questions which people asked when I announced the Q&A last Sunday. Obviously, if this goes well, which hopefully it will do, and I don't stutter and stumble over my words too much, we can maybe do this on a more regular basis and we can talk Disney. And hopefully in the future, I've been playing around with many different types of settings and different apps, and maybe we can invite people in and phone in and actually have Skype calls, and we can have a bit more of a two-way discussion on this Patreon thing because it's a smaller community. We can do that, so that's great. Okay, we got our first question here from Gamer King Connor. Do you prefer Bob Iger or Michael Eisner in terms of what they did as CEO and their strategies to make Disney better? Well, okay. Personally, I feel that Michael Eisner gets a very bad rap for what he did because obviously after Frank Wells died in, I reckon it was around 94 or 93, 94 in that terrible accident, obviously the wheels came off his CEO-ship of Disney and Jeffrey Katzenberg left. But up until that point, Michael Eisner was a fairly good CEO. He then, in my opinion, didn't actually delegate as any good CEO does. But Bob Iger has had one very good CEO tenure where he's delegated. Yes, we've had issues with, heads of Disney parks and stuff like that. But buying out franchises and allowing Pixar and Lucasfilm and Marvel, most importantly Marvel, to do their thing and just continue to operate their studio in the way that they should, then, it's been a sound strategy. And personally, I'll be very sad to see Bob Iger go. I think he's been a fantastic CEO. Personally, slightly better than Michael Eisner, but I do think that Michael Eisner gets a very bad rap within us, the Disney community. Okay, right. Let me see if I can find these other questions. 2 seconds, because I know people wanted me to answer them. Right, so we've got Andrew Justvig. Said, are you going to be coming out to D23 Expo in 2019, and could we have a Walterners meetup? Well, hopefully I will be out at D23 Expo in 2019. It's very expensive to get from the UK to California. I've done it once before. Very expensive, but I really do want to attend a D23 Expo. So hopefully by then, maybe DSNY Newscast will get a media pass from Disney, and we can then all go kind of like together and maybe have a meetup there. But also, if when we're out there, we'll be able to get better footage, maybe even do a tour of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. As we all know, the Disneyland version has already been announced to be opening ahead of the Walt Disney World version, as Bob Iger said last year at D23 Expo. So hopefully that will be the case. And in general, just a meetup of all of us together, however many can arrive. The thing is, if we do it inside the parks, maybe Disney will have a bit of an issue with it. So maybe we'll have to do it slightly outside the parks. But it would be fantastic to see you all and shake a hand and give you a hug and see how it goes. And, most importantly, just have a chat with you all face to face. So that would be fantastic. I mean, whenever I'm in a Disney park and I see somebody who recognizes me maybe from YouTube, it's fantastic. Just reach out and say hello. Maybe, we'll have a quick picture together. We'll have a chat. You know, I love Disney, so talking Disney to me is second nature, and it is to all of you guys as well. So, right, other questions. Right, let's get to it. Let's get to the questions. Right, okay. Love your content, Jack. Do you think that the success of Black Panther, Disney would work towards putting a Wakanda land in Animal Kingdom in the next 10 years? Right. So it's interesting because I personally don't think that we'll see any. Well, number one, they can't put Black Panther in Animal Kingdom. If you look at Islands of Adventure over in Universal Studios, they've got Black Panther on one of the posters there, the comic book version of Black Panther. So they can't actually include it within a Walt Disney World park unless they go through negotiations with Comcast and Universal. So unfortunately not. But maybe since it's doing so amazingly well at the box office, much like Guardians of the Galaxy did so well, and now we've got so many Guardians of the Galaxy attractions, maybe we'll see something over in Disneyland in California because the agreement allows for that, or in Disneyland Paris with the new Marvel presence that's coming to that park over in Walt Disney Studios Park. So hopefully, you know, what do you guys want? Would you like to see a Black Panther ride, and what type of Black Panther ride would it be? You know, there's so much to do there. I mean, the technology alone, they could just do a technological demonstration. That'd be amazing. Yeah, obviously it's not real tech, but you know, yeah. Anyway, with Disney's Animal Kingdom turning 20 years old, do you think you will ever get a fifth gate at Disney World? And what type of park do you think it would be? That was from Colleen Heil. So sorry if I butcher anybody's names, by the way. Okay, so a fifth park at Disney. Personally, I don't feel like there's a real need for it. They've got 4 parks, as we all know, and every couple of years they need to keep adding to these parks, either taking stuff out and refurbishing it and replacing it like we see, or in general just adding to the parks. I mean, these parks will never be complete. That's what Walt always wanted. And just adding another park where they'll need to come back around to every 4 or 5 years is a very difficult strategy for Disney. So I think they've actually stretched themselves to the point where 4 is perfect. I don't think we'll see a fifth gate for any one of these things. I mean, we could add a Marvel land to Disney's Hollywood Studios, for instance. I mean, it's not really necessary for a fifth gate at Walt Disney World. Okay, John Shoemaker says, I agree. Eisner was good in the beginning, but got terrible. Yes, he was. I mean, he did well in the 1980s. It all kind of came off with Eisner around the time of Disneyland Paris. Euro Disney opened. You know, that derailed the whole Disney decade. You know, Disney's America, Westcott, Port Disney. Well, Port Disney became Westcott in a way. It derailed everything inside the Disney company. Then you had Jeffrey Katzenberg leave, and we all know this sort of stuff. But yeah, he did worse later on. John also says, I wish Zootopia would come to Animal Kingdom. I hope they don't throw it away. Well, personally, I don't think we're going to see Zootopia at Animal Kingdom until we see a sequel to Zootopia. So Zootopia, I watched a movie, and it to me didn't hit home the same way that everyone was saying, and the critics were saying at the time. It was a good movie. It wasn't one of my Disney favorites. I personally rate Moana a lot higher than Zootopia, despite, you know, Zootopia doing a lot well at the box office. But the reason why Zootopia did so well at the box office is obviously because of the China influence on that movie, because it didn't have issues with the subtitling, well, not subtitles, but the dubbing and stuff like that over in China. It did amazingly well at the box office in China. So that's the reason why that movie did so well. Personally, in my opinion. You mentioned a while back the thing on the table to you. I don't remember what it was, but you said it had a story. Right, okay, yeah. So basically, let's turn this a little bit. 2 secs. Okay, right. So John's referring to this over here, and it's actually a presentation booklet I sent to Disney, and back in 2016. I've worked very hard on that presentation booklet. It's kind of what started it all in a way. Basically, it's a booklet all about communication strategy for Disney. And it basically outlines a social network for Disney. Personally, this is something which I would love, and I see Disney just missing a massive opportunity there to connect all of our collective love of Disney into one place. And then realistically, from that side of things, I'll move it back onto me now. Personally, I outlined this strategy of saying basically, us Disney fans, we want Disney news. We want as much Disney news as possible. Clearly, from DSNY Newscast, it's kind of, what people want. So therefore, that's why I created DSNY Newscast. But Disney are not communicating very well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's very fragmented. People can't find what they want, where they need it. Disney put out Snapchats. I mean, it's not really necessary for Disney to do all this sort of stuff with all the different social networks. They can go directly to us with these press releases, which is essentially basically advertising and marketing. But we will gobble it up. We will eat it up. It's Disney news. We can't get enough of it. When they announce a new opening date or something like that, we can't get enough of it as Disney fans. And personally, I feel that they're missing a massive opportunity not building a Disney social network. So the presentation wasn't met very well by Disney, but that's for a different story. Okay, it was a good presentation. I'll show it at some point. Maybe a separate video on it altogether. Right. This is sorry about this. Ava and Ed. I believe that's how you pronounce that. What have you heard about Mary Poppins coming to England in Epcot? We like the idea of Brave better. Well, first of all, hello. Well, okay. So since I reported on this last end of November, I believe, or early December, Brave was the front runner within Walt Disney Imagineering for the attraction. It's only going to be a small attraction either way. I mean, the budget is growing on this attraction slightly, but it's going to be a small attraction if it's going to be coming. Nowadays, in Walt Disney Imagineering, from what I'm hearing from insider sources, Mary Poppins is actually now the front runner. Personally, I don't really see how they could really fit Brave within the United. I mean, yeah, obviously it's part of the United Kingdom, Scotland, but Brave is an older franchise. But then again, it didn't stop them putting Ratatouille in France. So who knows? What does DSNY Newscast, DSNY stand for? I never figured it out. Well, yeah. Okay, you know what it stands for. I would pay good money to see a DSNY Snapchat. Well, look, a DSNY Snapchat, you don't want that. You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want to see my face that much on your phone, okay? You don't want to see all that. But to be honest, I've tried using Snapchat before, and it makes me feel very old. I'm only 26 years old, and there's just some apps which make me feel ancient, basically. And I never really get the Snapchat phenomenon. I understand Twitter, I understand Instagram. I grew up with those, but Snapchat is one of those things where I was like 4 years out on, and I just don't really think it was a very good app, to be honest. But anyway, I digress. Okay, all right. Hi, Jack. This comes from MSPad922. Hi, Jack. The show and the Patreon content, especially the Disney That Never Was series. Love the show, sorry. Love the Patreon content, Disney That Never Was. Yeah, I'm really enjoying researching these old Disney ideas and presenting to you in not just like a boring old way. I like to, in the future, add more atmospheric elements. So in the Chicago Main Street idea of 1920s, I tried to bring in more of that kind of, I don't know if you heard it in the video, but background, like audio, like on a 1920s Main Street, a bit more atmospheric toward the concept art to bring that concept art to life. But yeah, I've got some good topics lined up I'd like to dive into for March and April. But you'll be getting a Disney That Never Was every single month, and a What If Disney. They take longer to do. So What If Disney might be once every other month, and then obviously something else to plug that gap as well. Okay, Andrew says, what do you think of the new Disney streaming service coming in 2019? Do you think we can get any Disney Parks content on it? That's a very interesting idea of getting some Disney Parks content. I mean, if Disney want to, DSNY Newscast on it. I wouldn't mind that. And anyway, but so Disney Parks content on the streaming service, they haven't mentioned anything about that yet. We've seen what they've been rolling out in terms of content to the rest of the industry. It's mainly for advertisers and you know, just gauging interest and stuff like that in different shows. But I don't think the network will carry adverts, but it's just something that they do within Hollywood. But in terms of content, Disney Parks content, I would love to see it. I would love to see series actually based upon iconic Disney Parks attractions. I mean, I know we all want to see the Haunted Mansion movie, you know, a Guillermo del Toro movie of it, but they could do lots of other stuff. I mean, they've still got the Jon Favreau Magic Kingdom movie in the works there. So who knows? Who knows whether we're going to see any more of that? But the Disney streaming service, it's an interesting play by Disney, because Netflix, I don't know if the music is a bit of a distraction, but anyway, Netflix, yeah, they basically said no to Disney, and that's the reason why Disney went off and decided to say, you know, we'll go create our own thing. And now they're buying Fox. They're going to have a big catalog. They've said they're going to price it more competitively than Netflix, so that's something there. And Disney has an awful lot of good TV shows and content, and 2 or 3 Star Wars TV shows will be a big pulling factor for an awful lot of people, a bit like Game of Thrones. Thoughts on the new Muppets Babies trailer? I haven't seen the new Muppet Babies trailer actually. Got back from skiing on Friday and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So hopefully you'll enjoy the DSNY Newscast on skis. It took around 2 days to film that. I was filming in between skiing, obviously, but most of it was filmed on the ski slopes. The narration was also filmed on the ski slopes. So if you heard a little bit of, like, you know, rustling and wind in the background, that sorry about that, but it was filmed on the ski slopes. But I really enjoyed doing that for you guys. Obviously, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. If there's news, like there was, those big news coming out of the Disney social media Mums conference, if there's big news coming out, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'm going to make sure there's a video that comes out for you guys, which explains what's going on, and, you know, just presents the news in a nicer format than just reading a boring old article. So yeah, and then we can all have a discussion about it. By the way, if you've got any opinions, send them in and I'll read them out and we can discuss that as well. Okay, Jack, did you see the Imagineer leaked through an Imagineer? Right, okay, so basically Mickey Views on YouTube, kind of a YouTube competitor to me. Look, Braden works very hard on what he does on his channel. Nothing to discredit him from what he does. I think he, you know, younger than me, he works very hard. And but with the Instagram Imagineer thing, it was, he says it's verified as a source, but there was some stuff which I didn't cover it because, number one, it's his source, but number two, everything which he covered as breaking news videos, we spoke about around 6 months earlier. Like Mary Poppins, I've been covering that rumor since June of 2017, and then other stuff like what other stuff did he cover from it? The Adopt a Porg and stuff like that. Well, the Adopt a Porg, that's merchandise. I'm guessing Disney are going to move forward with that. But then again, the Porgs weren't extremely successful, like BB-8 from Star Wars. So I don't know if that's still on the table. But an awful lot of what he covered, like the Tron Speedway, Tomorrowland Speedway, we covered that back in August. So I don't know whether this Imagineer was a true Imagineer or whether he was just reading other stuff and posting. I don't know what went on there, but it's gone quiet recently. Who knows? Okay. Right. Sorry if I'm going to mess up your name. Raina, I believe, is, you know. Hi, Jack. Some of the Patreon exclusive content reminds me a bit of videos that Rob Plays has on his channel. Have you discussed doing a collaboration series? Yeah, actually, there's a reason why I'm not putting those Patreon stuff out to the main public. Look, Rob does amazing work with his Disney history stuff. He did. I've been a big fan of Rob for a long time. Rob was one of the first people I reached out to when I started doing the DSNY Newscast stuff, and it started to you know, grow to like the first 1,000 subscribers. And Rob's a great friend of mine, and he does just some great videos. I love his videos. So yeah, we've spoken about it. We're hopefully going to work on something, maybe just a discussion video. I quite like that kind of idea, just me and him talking about the news as well. If you guys are interested in it, we'll make that happen. But yeah, Rob does some amazing stuff, and I do agree that I may have not the concept art thing, but the What If Disney, I feel, is pretty original. But Armchair Imagineering, he did do before me, and we've all kind of followed in suit. Scroll up, you missed some good questions too. Okay, cool. John, okay, we'll do. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Right, Andrew says, what do you think about the Wonders of Life not being the festival centre anymore? Well, actually, I was going to cover this on Tuesday as part of DSNY Newscast, maybe. I think we're going to hear something about this potentially next year at D23 Expo. We're not going to hear about anything before then, but there was a rumour that, well, there's two ways of looking at this. The festival centre, clearly they're looking to put something in there. The rumor was that the Wonders of Life Pavilion could become something to do with either Guardians of the Galaxy or the new Mission Space restaurant. I've heard that the Mission Space restaurant isn't going to be inside that building, despite it making a lot of sense. It was going to be to the side of Mission Space. So if you look to the right of Mission Space, it will be there. However, there is some idea that they may do some sort of like nowhere idea, spelled with a K, you know, nowhere, from Guardians of the Galaxy as some sort of involvement with Wonders of Life, because it's so close to the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction. But who knows whether they will or not. They're clearly looking to prep that space in some way. I'm just glad that they're doing something with that pavilion. It's an amazing building. It looks great. It's unused space, and it's kind of a waste being a festival centre. Okay, have I not missing any more questions? 2 seconds. Gavin. Right, okay. Love the DSNY Digest phone app and this news and stories between the videos. Will there be making a reappearance in the future? Right, so the DSNY Newscast app is, well, not DSNY Newscast app, DSNY Digest app is what started it all, in a way. So I created the DSNY Digest app back in 2014, and it got rejected from the App Store because I didn't have any control over what content went into it. Then in 2015, I reskinned the app and I redid it, and then got it past the App Store. And I basically put all the articles in there and sourced them correctly and put them in there. And then I ran that for around 2 years free of charge. And, you know, just because I love Disney, I just love doing, you know, stuff to do with Disney news, and it was a great way for me to keep up on the Disney news, and for 1,000 people who used it at the time, it was a great way for them to keep up with it as well, push notifications and things like that. But it was basically a way of showing Disney. I was trying to show Disney that this is what you should be doing. People love Disney. People love Disney parks. People love Disney movies. If you just produce the news and give it to them, it's a great way to get your message across. And we, Disney fans, we want it. I would love Disney to do something along that way. I mean, yeah, sure, DSNY Newscast would probably be no more, but still, it's something which Disney should be doing, in my opinion. Anyway, okay then. Yeah. Speaking of Braden sources, how do you keep in the know with all the rumors? How do you keep in the know with all the rumors emerge from the time to time? How do you decide which to make into videos? Right. So basically, I have a kind of a rule, which is if I get 2 sources on one rumor, I will then start to cover it, because obviously it's just basically if it's one way of verifying it, and that's the reason why I feel a little bit about the Instagram source is it wasn't verified in a way that it was just one person doing it, and basically, you know, I don't question whether Braden verified that source. I do believe that he verified it, but some of the stuff that source was saying was already being said like 6 months before, so it wasn't anything new. in a way, and some of the concept art looked very, very amateurish. So who knows whether it was real or not. I don't believe Braden would make anything up. Braden, you know, he's good at what he does, and his Magic Weekly and stuff like that, he puts in a lot of time and effort into it. But I just, the way I would have gone about doing it is I was waiting for a second source before I'd run with a story. Okay, then. I would like to see you and Rob have a discussion. Thanks for answering. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not just working on that. I'm also going to be doing a collaboration with Resort TV 1 soon. Josh and Jenna over there, they're going to be filming some stuff around park, and we'll do a live kind of video where we just discuss the different rumors and stuff around the park. So that should be fairly interesting. Okay, agree with you, and Rob would be awesome and would add Jim Hill, but he might be out of your league. Yeah, Jim, I love the Disney Dish. The Disney Dish is a great podcast. Jim's a great guy. I've never met him, but from what I've heard about him and from what I hear of him, he's a great guy. I don't know. There is something within the Disney community online, within the Twitter community. It's not the most pleasant of communities in ways that us Disney fans, we're fine to each other, but when it gets to the news creators, you know, speaking to one another, us YouTubers are fairly friendly to each other. It's the news sites which are not that pally, and I don't know why they're not. We're all in the same business, to be honest, and I just see it as we should all get along in a way, but they don't. It's a bit strange. Anyway, so basically, have we got any other ones I've missed here? Right, there was some on Patreon which I just wanted to very quickly answer. 2 secs. 2 seconds. Okay. Sorry if I'm just looking intently at the screen there, but I'm trying to read these questions. Discussion topic. Yeah. Okay. Right. Josh, UI, I don't know how to pronounce that, says, I'd love it if you talk more about Pixar turning more towards sequels than original movies, and what you think about this. So basically, after Toy Story 4 comes out, apparently all of the movies from then on are going to be original movies, at least for the immediate ones in the pipeline. So I'm very much looking forward to, you know, Pixar getting back to the Inside Out and WALL-E and Up, those kind of original movies, which are fantastic. You know, why more hasn't been done with WALL-E and Up within the parks is a mystery, because both movies did very well critically and also box office wise, and they should do more with them, in my opinion. But you know, we're getting Toy Story Land opening on June 30th, and Pixar Pier. But you know, the whole sequel thing, I think that was more John Lasseter greenlighting different projects which he felt he wanted to go after more, like Cars, for instance. I mean, I don't know if we really needed a Cars 2 and a Cars 3. Cars 1 was okay, but, you know, it was milking a franchise which we could have had more original movies, to be honest. And Walt always said, you know, go do something new, basically. And you know, he didn't ever want to return and do a sequel for a reason, because he'd rather go do the next great thing instead. And I think Pixar should do more of that, and hopefully they will in the future. What else have we got here? Okay. How did you come to create DSNY Newscast? So basically, DSNY Newscast came about. Let me just scroll down to the bottom here. DSNY Newscast came about. Okay, so DSNY. So essentially, in the time frame of things, I created DSNY Digest, and then so DSNY Digest happened in 2015. 2015 into 2016. 2016, I started creating this presentation over here, and that took me best part of 6 months to create. It's a 32. No, it's a how many pages? 40 page booklet, and I did branding and advertising and marketing at university. So I know what I'm talking about with a communications standpoint. So I did an awful lot of research on that point. I explained what the issue was, the research behind it, gave what we've got at the moment, and then I gave a perspective of where they should be moving. And I sent it off to them, and they basically said, we don't receive outside proposals from the likes of me. And so I spent quite a bit of money sending them out to all different people at Disney. I kept getting the same response. I even sent him actually one to Marty Sklar before he passed away. And you know, it all fell on deaf ears basically. So I decided April 2017, I thought, put my money where my mouth is and show them what people want. I personally had a chat with my brother about this, and he said, you know, what I would like to see is Disney News produced on a very regular basis in a bite-sized format where I can just sit back and watch it, and I don't have to follow all these different news sites. I don't have to do all of that extra work. I can just have it said to me, not just read to me, but said to me and explained in a more interesting way. And that's what I did. So I created it in April of 2017, and you guys made it into something. I mean, without you guys doing what you did for DSNY Newscast, it wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't be sat here today. It's been a whirlwind this past year. We're not even at a year yet, and I've got a lot of good plans lined up for what's coming in the future. I do want to bring back the DSNY Digest app. I don't know if it will be a Patreon exclusive or not, but I do want to bring that back, and I do want to have more of a community vibe within the audience. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, what is your favorite attraction that is now defunct? Okay, so we've got a fan of Defunct Land there in John Shoemaker. Defunct Land's another great channel. Okay, what's my favorite attraction which is no longer there? Well, my favorite attraction of all time is Pirates of the Caribbean, but my favorite attraction that's not there at the moment, it would have to be Horizons, to be honest. I was very small when I rode it, because I'm only 26. I was, only around 4 or 5 when I went on it. But it stands out in my memory as something which going round on that ride, it was pretty great. So that's one which I wish was there again. I don't really get them annoyed at Disney when they remove an attraction too much. If they ever remove Pirates, I'd maybe have an issue, but unless they come up with something better, then I'm okay with it. This was awesome, Jack. I've got to head out now. Thanks for answering my questions. Yep, that's fine. See you, Connor. Right. Any rumors of John Lasseter will return? So my opinion of this, John, is basically John Lasseter's not going to be returning. The guy's in his 60s anyway. It was getting to the point where he is going to retire. And it's just such a shame that his career has come to a close on a controversial topic. Let's just say that. It's still unknown how much of what was said in the press, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, people like that reporting was true and what was fiction. I do believe where there's smoke, there is fire. I do believe that he probably had some issues, but you can't excuse what he did if he did do what they said he did. So I don't see Disney bringing him back for like 1 or 2 years. I mean, it would be a bad publicity standpoint for them. They'd have to swallow that tough pill, bringing him back from publicity standpoint. They can't really bring him back in the summer because obviously that will be the story around Toy Story Land and Pixar Pier. That's when he's meant to come back. I don't think he will come back. I think you'll see a fresh head of Disney and Pixar, and that's going to be more than likely Pete Docter for Pixar at least. And who knows who will lead Walt Disney Animation. But I think, it's a shame, but John Lasseter gave us Pixar, and he gave us an awful lot of great movies. And when this is all said and done in the history books, when it's all written up, I don't think we're going to look back and we're going to say John Lasseter's name like he's a terrible person. But we'll see his work that we enjoyed, and hopefully we'll be able to separate Toy Story and the great work and Bugs Life and things like that he created for us, and his personal issues maybe. But I still love Toy Story, and nothing's ever going to stop that. Anyway, right. What's your background? What do you do for a living? Right. So, my background, Andrew, is basically I worked in advertising. So I worked in advertising for around 4 years, 4 or 5 years, at a newspaper, and I did that at the same time as starting up DSNY Newscast. Only recently I've gone full time with DSNY Newscast, just trying to make a go at it, trying to produce more content and things like that. I know Rob Plays has done the same thing. Rob actually worked at I think it was a news site, or he was working in news as well, and the same type of thing, advertising as well. And he's only just gone full time as well. So he's giving it a go. I'm giving it a go. Let's see how it works. We're all trying to support each other here, but essentially, we'd all love to go full time and create more Disney content for you guys. And it's going well. It's going well, to be honest. At the moment, I'm just about making things work, and hopefully, things like Patreon really give the channel security to continue going no matter what. The YouTube ad situation at the moment is pretty terrible. To be honest, it's they pull your ads basically, and they say no advertising for you. You can't make any money on those videos. I mean, it's not a lot of money anyway. And whatever money you do make, we're going to take it off. And essentially, all the newscast content, it gets the most amount of views in the first 24 hours, as you can read on the Patreon. And so to not have any ad revenue on these videos basically meant I was putting a lot of work and time into these videos, not spending time with my family, not being able to, spend time on. We all need to earn money in life, and we all need to make a living, and we all need to, just pay bills and stuff. And YouTube were making that very difficult for me to continue providing and producing the content and actually providing and stuff at the same time. So Patreon gives me the security to keep this channel going no matter what. It doesn't matter what YouTube do. DSNY Newscast can keep going, and for that, personally, I'm very grateful. Yeah. Anyway, okay then. What have we got next? Any rumors? Okay. What would Colleen Heil says? What would you what would be your dream role if you were a cast member? My dream role as a cast member would probably be working on Pirates of the Caribbean. If I had to be a ride operator, it would be Pirates of the Caribbean or Star Tours. I think Star Tours would be great fun. As you may the force be with you, and you can do all that sort of stuff. And Pirates of the Caribbean, I love the smell of that attraction. So working in Pirates of the Caribbean would be a fantastic one as well. How do you get your sources? So basically, my sources, I keep a tab on everything. Look, I know that if you're diligent and you want to research Disney every hour of the day, you probably don't need DSNY Newscast. But the whole point of DSNY Newscast is I can provide you all Disney news in a short format on a regular basis and take the hassle out of it, and you'll know what you need to know about Disney and what's going on. But basically, I've got around 90 sources lined up in an RSS reader, which I check every hour of every day. And then I also keep a tab on all of the forums for any insider leaks, any information that's coming out there. And then it's other information from people contacting me and getting in touch on Messenger and stuff like that, and wanting to give us tips and stuff. So, and all of that combined, corroborating it all, putting it all together and working out what's true, what's fiction, what's going on here. That's how DSNY Newscast. That's how we met. Just me, really, but just me here at DSNY Newscast managed to bring this stuff out to you guys. I think we've got a fairly good track record. We were the only ones. I was the only one reporting on Star Wars Hotel before they announced it. I mean, it was obvious they were going to announce that. I don't, everything else we've kind of reported is kind of spot on. I don't really bring you rumors, which, like I said, I need to have two sources for it to make it onto the show. And so I don't like to run stories which are a bit shaky and a bit dodgy. So hopefully when you watch DSNY Newscast, you know that it's going to be somewhat along the lines of what's actually happening instead of just wild rumors and speculation. And I like to make sure that people know what's a rumor, what's happening, what's differentiate between all the different stuff. Okay. Can you speak on Thomas's question if you are going to bring DSNY to D23? Yeah. So let me just find where that question was. T6. Whilst I'm finding that, how many hours a day are you focusing on the newscast? So, right. So to create a DSNY newscast, Ava and Ed, I'm guessing that's you guys there. It takes so to begin with, I collect the stories which I want to bring to you guys. Then I research around the topic. Then I write a script. So if I'm starting late, I need to get my time. This is because obviously when I post a video, it's around 12 a.m. in the morning, 1 a.m. in the morning, my time. So I start writing the script at around 3 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Sometimes the night before I write it, but quite often I like to keep it fluid because just in case something major happens and I need to rework the whole script. Like I filmed one when Pixar Pier was announced and they released some concept art back in October. I filmed my video at 9 o'clock at night. And then they released something and I had to get back in front of the camera. And so it can scupper my plans in a way. But so I write my script around 3 p.m. 3 p.m. till I'd say 4:30, 5-ish. It can sometimes take quite a while to write them because you're researching around the topic or make sure everything's correct on it. Then 5 to 6 to 7, somewhere within that time period, I record and I eat dinner. And then from around 7 till around 11 p.m., I do my first cut of the video. It's around thing, so I cut it down to 5 or 6 minutes, all the stuff out of it, and then I start layering them with clips. Now, the layering in of the clips and the footage and the graphics and everything else, that takes the hugest amount of time. That takes around 4 hours to do because it's creating whole new graphics for each separate video to explain a topic. It's not often I can reuse some old graphics. So each new piece of news requires me to create new stuff in Photoshop. So that takes quite a while. So I'd say in general, each newscast takes around 6 hours to put together. And then I get it out to you guys. But sometimes I'm working, weird hours. Like with D23 Expo in Japan, I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning to see what was announced. And lo and behold, they announced some new details. So I showered at around 3:15 in the morning, and then I started writing a script, and I had to write 2 separate scripts because we had some big news, and that took me around an hour and a half to do, an hour to do, and then after that I filmed around 5 a.m. in the morning. I filmed 4:35 in the morning. I filmed, and then I was editing like crazy, and I didn't actually sleep that night really, and I got the videos out by around 8 a.m. my time, and then another one out at around 10 a.m. So it took quite a while, but yeah, I worked some weird hours, and I wouldn't have it any other way because obviously you guys rely on me to bring you the news, and I take great pride in bringing you the news. Right, 2 seconds. So are we going to bring DSNY Newscast to D23 Expo? Well, if we can get a media pass for DSNY for, me and maybe a couple of other people to come out there and film, yeah, I would quite happily bring DSNY Newscast to D23, but I'll probably need more than me out there. I'll probably need some help and some, filming in different panels and stuff because, they have many different events going on at the same time. And I won't be able to be in all these different places at once. Last year, when I covered D23 Expo from here, it was beneficial in a way because I pretty much didn't sleep the entire time. I mean, to be not being over dramatic here, but that week was pretty full on. it began early on the Thursday when they announced the Star Wars model, and then it continued on to around the following Wednesday. Yeah, my hairline became worse because of it. I came down with a terrible cold around a week later because I hardly got any sleep that week, and I, my hair, hair was falling out and stuff. Guys, if you go without sleep for too long, bad things happen, and that's what was happening for me in that week. It was very stressful and very fast paced, and I probably need a bit more help the next time around. But I've done it once; I can do it again. That's how I look at it. I have to say that you have inspired me with the show and others. I'm thinking about launching my own show with my wife. This is what Andrew Just Figures saying. Don't worry, I won't be a Disney competitor. Just want to say thanks. No, seriously. If I can give any advice to anybody who wants to launch a YouTube channel, number one, okay, this is my advice. Number one, thumbnails really matter. So look at a thumbnail like I've got a graphic design background. So if you look at a thumbnail like it's a movie poster, it's the only way that people look at your content and go, I want to watch that. Okay, so if your thumbnail's not good, people are not going to want to watch your content. No matter how good the actual content is, they'll never get past the initial stage of clicking on your video. So that's most important, number one. Number two, branding is very important. Blue and pink. The reason why it's blue and pink, I don't want to specify gender. Disney is for everybody. It's not a girl's brand. It's not a guy's brand. It's for everybody. It's all of us together. I love Disney. I've always loved Disney all my life. I've always been proud to say I love Disney as well. Even when I was at high school and I was 15 years old, 16 years old, and it's not the cool thing to say you like Disney. I remember doing art projects where Disney was front and center in those art projects. So yeah, it's not but Disney's coming back. It's becoming a cool thing again. But that's the reason why. So branding's very important. Next thing I'd say is consistency and make sure you engage the audience an awful lot. You guys, I mean, look at what we're doing right now. I just feel that people nowadays on YouTube, they don't engage people enough. And if only YouTube provided a way for the feedback to be more instant, more personal, it'd be fantastic. Like if this live Q&A, if I could easily bring people into it and we could have a chat and then, just move through different people and give their opinions, that would be fantastic. But they don't make it easy for people to do that sort of stuff. Anyway, we're approaching the 1 hour mark, 48 minutes. I didn't think I was going to go on for this long. Sorry about that. I rambled, don't I? Okay then. Right. So that's basically been an hour-long Q&A. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Sorry if I've rambled too much, but hopefully we'll do it again sometime. And yeah, I guess there's only one way to end a video of DSNY Newscast, and that is, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.